and then I will stop it after our Q&A is after Mindy. Okay, so Mindy, thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to, we've been waiting patiently, right? Anticipating your time to come with us, and we are so excited about you being here with us. So go ahead and you can kind of explain your role and what you do. Thank you.
Thank you all for having me, and my apologies. I was explaining a little to Shelley and Amanda when I got on that my 14-year-old was rear-ended a couple years ago, and she had been treated, with physical therapy at Shriners Hospital in Spokane. And then about 5 months into school this year, the symptoms started coming back. So we've had a really rough go with both of our health for a little while. So both of us have been just trying to get healthy. So I really appreciate you guys. I know I've been on the schedule a couple of times, and so I just want to apologize. Usually anything to do with work is my top priority, but I had to learn the hard way that sometimes you need to do what you need to do for yourself. So let me see if I can figure out, this is good practice because I have some presentations next month. So I'm going to try to share my screen. I think I need to do something first, put it maybe in my presentation first. Let's see. Okay, I hope you're seeing the right screen. Yes, okay, I see some thumbs up. Now you might see the side of my face because I gotta find where my where my screen went. Okay.
Hope it's good. We can see it.
Okay. I'm not seeing my, dang it. All right, well, here we go. Okay. So my name is Mindy Flett, and I'm the Tribal Child Care Licensing Consultant in the Office of Tribal Relations for DCYF. I was born and raised on the Spokane Indian Reservation and lived there most of my life. We moved, gosh, I think it's been nine years. We moved 9 years ago, just to give our kids a little bit more educational opportunities. So we moved off the reservation. It's been pretty hard on us, actually. We really missed community and just missed that connection with the land. So we go home every weekend. We have our camper by the water, and so we go home to kind of I recharge, I guess. So my husband and I have 4 children. They range in age from the oldest is 29 and the youngest is 14. My oldest has 2 grandkids, so I have a granddaughter who's 8 and a grandson that's 6. And so that's the picture on the slide with the 5 women, the 5 generations. There's 5 generations in my family, and so we want to make sure we memorialize that with some pictures. So
Mindy, go ahead and
yeah.
we can't see the picture. If you could.
Oh gosh. Okay, what did I do? Hold on. Here we go. Whoop. Nope. Now I'm adding stuff. See, I can't find my actual slide. Come on. Here we go. There we go.
There.
Yes?
Oh,
okay.
Yes, now we can see it. Thank you.
Okay. I got to look at this screen and then look at that one too. So, okay. So the picture, there's my grandmother on the bottom left, and she was raised on the Colville Indian Reservation in Inchalam. So it's really cool to hear the stories of her and my grandpa dating. He was on the Spokane Res and she was on the Colville Res. So it's really fun to kind of hear those stories. So we're a pretty tight family, and all of us come from the Spokane tribe. So we all just have that connection. Our whole family still lives there. So it's really nice. Okay. this little guy is my grandson. Yeah, this is when he was little. So I just had to include that because he always loved the hand drum. So every time he's here, still now he goes and grabs that first. That's fun. So our office has grown. I don't know if you know this, a lot. So when the Office of Tribal Relations initially started, you know how they started to plan for the transition from Department of Early Learning to DCYF. Um, they they had a couple people that were in the Office of Tribal Relations that were helping with that transition. So it started, they talk about starting with 2, and I think now we have about 25. So we've grown a lot, which is good. We're getting tribal voice out there in every setting. We're trying to think of them first instead of afterthought. So we're really, that's just one of the biggest roles that we all play in the Office of Tribal Relations, just supporting the delivery of any DCYF services that are available to any non-tribal people. And sometimes that can be a fight. So we, you know, that's where we get creative and really start thinking about how we can think outside of the box and how we can get those services. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, I think it's probably important that when I worked for my tribe for 20 years, and 15 of those were in early learning. And I did a lot. I was in charge of their CCDF plan and program, which included, we licensed our own facilities on the reservation, childcare homes, childcare centers, school age programs. I also ran the CACFP program we had 10 different sites. So I did that. I oversaw Head Start, ECAP, just a variety of things. And so when I came to the state about 6 years ago, I started as a childcare licenser. And that came pretty easily just because, you know, I'd been working kind of in that role, supporting family homes and centers on the reservations with the rules. So I found the transition easier than I thought. And so 2 years later, I was looking, you know, to move up or take on a greater role. So I became the licensing supervisor in Spokane. And I just think having that role, both of those roles really kind of suited me for this position as the tribal childcare licensing consultant, because I know what tribes have to do on their end, you know, to obtain funds and all the things that's included in that. And then I can also help support them, you know, on the licensing side, where tribes ask quite frequently, they want support, you know, can you help us with, you know, checklists for licensing? Can you show us what your state licensors do? Can you do a walkthrough? And all these things where we have gotten pushback in the past, I'm saying, I have that experience. I'd love to do it, and I can do it. And the licensing division has been really supportive. They really like that I came from them. So it feels like, you know, some things are starting to progress, because tribes really do want to do a great job at, you know, monitoring health and safety, but it's not as easy when you don't have all the roles to do that. So if the more services we can offer to tribes, I think they're going to be better equipped to you know, they know their community best, and they can deliver the, you know, the services just better than anybody else can. And then my job is really to support them. And so that it might be, you know, making a connection with 2 tribes. Like we had a background check. When I first started, we were meeting about background checks it seemed like every tribe wanted to start using our DCYF background checks. And when I worked for the Spokane tribe, we used them. So I was like kind of being quiet, like, what do you mean, you know, tribes aren't using this, because we did. And so as we started to look into it more, a lot of tribes were using DCYF already, but some were not. And so really quickly, I needed to get people in touch. Like this specific tribe needed to have like, oh, I'm going to forget what it's called. Oh, character suitability. They didn't have anything like that in place. So it was like kind of making those connections, knowing my tribes and knowing, oh yeah, I know that the Kalispels have a great one. So let's connect you with the Kalispels. Trying to connect them sometimes where we might not be able to actually advise on policy or things like that, but making sure that we're helping make those connections. And then we're in on those meetings too, so we can kind of give some input as well. But we like to empower tribes too that are doing a great job to share what they're doing. So and people really like that peer-to-peer connection as well. So it's been good. Sometimes they don't want to tell us what they are or aren't doing for some fear, right? Which completely understandable. So we definitely don't push, but so that's really my role. There's kind of some other things within DCYF, I've kind of, been put on, here's this committee like food sovereignty, things that kind of naturally make sense. So that's been really cool to be on that. And then some of the stuff we're doing with that is meeting with the USDA, with the CACFP, the child nutrition programs here in Washington, meeting with them and looking over resources or documents and really looking with that tribal lens. So in doing that, we had found that some of the WACs in childcare, and then some of what they had down for guidance on their resources and then their guidebooks was inaccurate. So that wouldn't have happened if they hadn't, asked for extra set of eyes on those documents. Because I was like, wait, we have a USDA. It was like a butchering facility or something, and there wasn't one. So we got it all fixed, and but it took a while. And so I'll probably send you guys. I just have some different resources. So I have like my food sovereignty because I'm doing that, monthly, and then some other things and working with tribes. So in this last year, I got thrown into like legislation stuff. I'm not a policy analyst, right? But you get thrown into it. And they just drill it into you, really focus on the tribal stuff, how are they excluded? Are they called out? Are they not called out? All these things. So, and you have to turn it around so fast too. So that was really hard. Like you have 2 hours and you need to, and so it's a lot, but I'm really glad for that experience because I feel like I'm seeing the big picture of how all these pieces fit together. And I didn't necessarily really see that before, just being a licensor, not just being, I don't mean to put that down because that is the hardest job I've ever done, I will say. So just, I need to drink water too, talk too much and too fast. So yeah, what others? Just I get a lot of like just subject matter expert questions from CCDF or from childcare licensing on the tribal side or the state side. I do a lot of time looking if applicants, we have a process where when applications come in for childcare licensing, if they mark, there's 3 different places I think it asks about tribal land. And if any of those are flagged, the staff will send it to me to look through. I check if they're on tribal land or trust land, because we just want to make sure, we're not overstepping our authority. And we have a couple times where we told them that they had to go through DCYF, and that wasn't the case. So it's just a lot of daily stuff like that. And then like sovereignty training, we're doing a lot more sovereignty training, which we're including, more things, like how to prepare for site visits, in childcare licensing if you're going into a tribal program. Because, that's what I know. So like, I think some things are common sense. Like, for example, a licensor went to one of our tribal providers, 2 different licensors went there 2 days in a row. I know as a licensing supervisor, we don't like to do that to people. If we're going, if there's a complaint and we'd plan the monitor, we're just gonna, do them together. So I try to keep up on those things too. I'm looking at the notes, because I just, wherever I can help people learn more, I want to. So in reviewing some of that stuff, I noticed they didn't get permission, which was probably the memo. Maybe that person hadn't seen the memo. So that was my first concern. Hey, there's this memo you need to follow. You're supposed to arrange for the visit. Well, then on the day of the monitoring visit, and they were 2 different licensors. One came for a complaint, and then one came the next day for the monitoring visit. And they were doing a salmon ceremony. And I thought, common sense to me, you should leave, or at least ask, am I allowed to stay? What would the protocol be here? The tribe's the expert. They told them they were going to stay. And, to me, that feels like it feels like you're rushing a ceremony, or, I don't know, all these things go through my head. So all that to say, we're trying to think of things like that to put in, to make sure staff are trained so that they're going in with that respect right away. Because that tribe wasn't not happy about all of the things that happened. So we encourage them, any DCYF staff, to reach out to the Office of Tribal Relations, before you do a visit too. Like, hey, let's talk through this. Why are you going? Do you have any concerns? Just things like that. Are there any resources that we can provide from our office? Things of that nature. So just trying to make that common sense to us, because we live it, more common sense to everybody else. So if you guys ever think of anything like that, would you email me, or if you just the more examples and the more resources we can provide for people, the better. So which you guys have probably seen this, and I loved what you shared, Amanda, and I wrote it down, the Jefferson County Library. I love that as well. I am all about learning more about our tribes in Washington. I mean, I'm amazed. I don't know everything about my own tribe. I learn something new every day. It's just amazing. So I love those resources and the old documents. If you haven't seen this map is great. You can actually click, the numbers. They have them all numbered, and the yellow shows the tribal land. And then if you click it, you can go to that tribe's website. One thing I do want to share also is we have about 78% of our Native children are served off reservation. So I'm also trying to really try to, get a lot of DCYF staff to realize that as well. We're going into places where are the tribal children, and how can we ensure that that their cultures, their customs, their traditions and everything is respected and supported. So that's always interesting to me, that I didn't realize it was that high. And some of that is from, relocation. And my boss has said that, her dad never left the Los Angeles area after he was moved for, for relocation and for to learn a trade. So yeah, I didn't realize that that was that high. And I can understand the interest in learning more, about where you come from, and love that we can start that so young in early childhood with them. I'm going to share, let's see. Have y'all seen that map? Do you want me to share it, or you're good because you know where it's at? Perfect. Okay. This is just another little thing I put together. Is easier for me to kind of identify where people are and what region of DCYF. And then I also linked all of the tribes websites here as well. So I tend to go here to this one more often, and I wanted to be able to click whichever tribe. So I just created this. So hopefully that'll work. But I did want to ask you all if you wouldn't mind. Do you guys work with Region 6? Is that it? You're all in Region 6. Okay. Would you guys mind telling me which tribes you work with? Then I can kind of make some connections too.
Go ahead and just kind of tell Mindy your name and then what tribes you're working with. I'll start. I'm, Shelley. I work with the Squaxin Island tribe and the Chehalis tribe of Chehalis Reservation. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go. My name's Amanda Coleman. I work up here in Clallam and Jefferson. I primarily work with the Lower Elwha tribe, and my office mate Jessica works with Lapush Macaw and what's the other tribe she works with? She's going to be working with Clallam Bay when they do open.
I'm Carrie, and I work with Comish Indian tribe and Quinault Indian Nation.
So I'll go. I'm Carmela Bowen, and I work with the Cawville in Okanagan County and also Grant County too, of Central.
And I'm Tracy, and I work with the Nisqually tribe.
I'm Melinda. I do not currently have a provider who is tribal, but I definitely have providers who are surrounded by or learning or have families, or we're here in the Grace Harbor area, so there's still tribes here in Quinault, and
Yeah.
there's lots more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Oh, get the wrong one. Okay. So I know Shelley wanted me to cover kind of what the difference between tribal and tribal and state licensed childcare. So tribally licensed childcare, I would say that, that's where the tribe regulates and licenses it by the tribal government within their tribal reservation or trust land. And then, you know, those facilities, they often, and I think they are definitely more, prioritizing cultural and traditional practices and especially language. We're seeing a lot more language revitalization programs and immersion schools. And then, you know, to be tribally licensed, they just have to be in their jurisdiction. So I know we used to, I'm thinking we still have a couple tribes that have a licensed childcare, but they're off reservation. So in Eastern Washington, the Spokane tribe has a site that is in Spokane, so it's not on their reservation land. And so they are actually certified by the state, so they follow all the same licensing standards. The only reason they're certified is because our RCW says that we cannot license, and it uses the word license. We cannot license an exempt organization. So that's why we use the word certified. It's confusing to internal staff and external people alike. I will tell you that my boss and myself have been working with Travis Hansen and Debbie Groff to, you know, get these policies and procedures updated. And we're trying to think of a new term to call it, because certified is just too close to what we'll cover in a second, which is certified for payment only. So doing that work still. So more to come. State licensed childcare or state certified childcare, essentially they do the same thing. And I think that's where people get confused. State certified facilities, they have monitor visits, they pay licensing fees, they're bound by all the WACs. So, oh my gosh, the dogs are. So these, I mean, these are just some where funding comes from. Sometimes for tribes, they can get a variety funding from a variety of different sources. I know when I was there, we combined, you know, like just different funding pools, you know, to be able to provide wraparound care for the kiddos at Head Start or things like that. Okay, whoops, too far. So certified for payment only is, so in the RCW, it says a tribe can be certified, and then it talks about where they can be certified as meeting the standards, which is, I think, where they're titling the first thing certified. And then it says, if I should have pulled the actual RCW up. So the certified for payment only process is different, whereas the jurisdiction lies with the tribe. They have their own process for childcare, like they license their own facilities, and that I've seen done in a variety of different ways, where the monitor might be an Indian Health sanitarian. It might be the we've had social workers in like child welfare that do childcare licensing inspections as well. So we've seen it done lots of different ways. They get to choose how they do that. We want to see in DCYF just that they have a process, really. So that request comes to the Office of Tribal Relations. The licensed and the certified those go through like the Law Compass provider portal, applications in there, they go in there to do those ones. So this CFPO process is, again, we're working on improving it, because even the policies, it's not what we do remotelessly. So I'm not sure who wrote the policies and when, but they do not reflect what we currently need from tribes. So what I guess I really want the takeaway to be is the process isn't laid out clearly. So if anybody is interested in going this route, like maybe connect them by email with me or something, because I don't have, like, oh, you can go to this website and learn all about it, because we're working on that. And then sometimes I can help with some of the confusion around certified and certified for payment only. So they kind of have to get the CFPO, which is really, they're requesting subsidy. That's what it's all about, is they need to accept state subsidy. So that's why they would want to do this route. So they could take tribal subsidy kids and state subsidy kids. So there's a process that they go through, and some of that is, submitting what are your rules that you're going to follow, because they can make up their own. We're supposed to get a copy of that. We currently do not, and there's no process built in for DCYF to receive one. We're going to try to do that, because the more I'm learning, the more, every 3 years, I should be reviewing those to see if they still meet the federal requirements to be able to continue to receive state subsidy. So that hasn't happened ever. I don't know that anybody's ever done that. So that's something that we'll be doing in my office as well. And it's just going to help, I think, everybody. Yeah, go. Do you have a question, Carrie? Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm going to sound like I didn't hear anything that you just said, but it was a bit confusing for me. My big
It's
question
confusing.
right now is being able to receive the Quality Improvement Award by having subsidy children. And I have in my mind that there are Indian programs that are providing subsidy from tribal, and that that will work, but I don't know how. And I think you're probably saying what I've been feeling, is that where do I go to find out where how we can see those different ways that a tribe can be eligible. Does that make sense?
I think I understand what you're saying. So the QRIS, so if they accept tribal subsidy, they qualify for a quality rating award. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't have to accept state subsidy. Do they have to accept state as well? They do. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wasn't quite sure. I'm not super familiar with, I mean, I know a little bit about QRIS, but not a whole bunch, I guess.
So I didn't mean to
No.
take us off topic.
No, you're fine.
Just trying to figure it out and thought you might know something.
Yeah, I
you.
don't, but I'd like to learn more about that too. Because I'll see the emails about this tribe got their quality. Yeah, I need to learn more about that. So sorry about that.
No, thank you for listening.
Yeah. So that's done in our office. We it, because the tribe is the governing body, it requires a letter from requires a letter from their tribal chair, like pretty much giving them authority to apply for this on the tribe's behalf. So we work with the tribe initially on, all those little pieces that they need to submit. So it's their health and safety standards, and any handbooks that they have. What else? They have to submit. Oh, we have to know how they're going to, if they conduct child abuse and neglect investigations, or how are they going to do childcare licensing complaints? If the state isn't involved at all, we just want to know that they have a process for that as well. So those are really the couple things that we look at, and that has to be signed off by Ross. So we get it all gathered up and send it up to the top of our line. What I do initially, though, is just like when we receive a child care licensing application, we apply for an SSPS number. So that's one of the first things I do. And I hold on to that number because I'm not giving it to anybody until I have that letter back from Ross signed, but that won't be a delay for them, at all. So that they're able to start giving that out as soon as they are approved. I don't like that word either. Like the state has authority to approve them. We don't like that word. I don't know what we should call it, but we probably shouldn't approve. So I was going to talk about tribal practices and maybe like WAC misalignment or things that maybe conflict with tribal values. And two came to mind immediately just because we hear about it a lot. So the first one is, using tribal baby boards or cradle boards, moss bags as a method of caring, nurturing infants. So here's the whack that it kind of conflicts with, because there won't be a certificate of compliance. It won't be approved by the Consumer Product Safety Commission. So really what I try to teach people, is how do we look at this for health and safety? We know that childcare licensing will allow its use. They usually want a note from the parent or just something to put in the kiddo's file. And that's more so that the parent goes over with them too. How do you put the baby in it? Because you need to be trained on how to do that, because you could tie it too tight. You could do a lot of damage. So making sure, they have that permission, the parents train them or shown them how to use it, and then just looking at it for those same kind of safety things. Are there any loose strings, or I'm trying to think of other things that, a lot of times they can be beaded or have hanging beaded things, making sure that those are checked, that those are safe. Trying to think, same kind of things. Can it be cleaned? Are there any holes? Just things like that. But really trying to get licensing staff and everybody not to just say no, but to ask more questions, be curious, find out more. Well, how do you guys make sure it's safe, or how do you do that? And then just, if it's not perfect, then, you can fix that, just like you can if, your mattress was torn on a regular crib, you can fix it. So you have that conversation with whomever you need to. And then the other one, I know we kind of talked about this at the beginning, but is the food sources. So I know so many times we couldn't accept fish, game meat, deer, elk, we couldn't accept it because of the way, that was more the way the CACFP and this USDA was written, since we had one site off the reservation and one on. So they fixed it. So nobody has, people can donate it now. They made a process for how to do that, to be able to claim it. And I'll send you guys that information too, because that was really helpful. They did so much work to fix their mistake. Buffalo was another one, Buffalo. So just working again, everybody working together through that tribal lens. Because like I told them, I ran CACFP for 10 sites, and we just wouldn't claim those meals if we were concerned, because it was more important to us that we served our traditional foods than it was to get reimbursed for that meal. So we did that, but now it's much easier. So I'm thankful for that work. Let's see. I just threw in a couple of slides about, serving children, tribal children in non-tribal settings. And I think it works for most cultures too, not just not just tribes, but, so some of this, I don't know, do you guys have government to government training, or I'm trying to think of what are some of the other. Government of Indian Affairs does government to government training. We have a couple of different trainings that we do as well, government to government and boarding school, just kind of that historical stuff as well. So if you guys are interested in that, I can get some more information too. I just learned so much every time. I've learned so much by doing that. So those are just some, ways to honor their heritage, and just making sure that we're creating those inclusive environments that honor their culture. And then in tribal settings, they obviously get to do a lot more. I've been seeing a lot more people writing their own curriculum, starting to do that, which is so great. A lot more language immersion classrooms going on. Just lots of really great things we've seen. Have you guys heard of the TELF grant? The Tribal Early Learning Fund grant? Okay, it just opened again, so you can tell everybody it's open. And but we saw a lot of grants last year for traditional arts, crafts, and then cultural outings, and they were really fun to read and see what people were going to be doing. That was really cool, and they were planning to do cultural celebrations and events as well. Sorry, I forgot to change my slide again. Whoops, go back. So that's all I prepared, but I know there was some questions about Love It Way. And I kind of feel like maybe I'm in the same boat as you guys. I'm not really sure. I don't think anybody's fully implemented it yet. We just had a thing 2 weeks ago on it. So I don't have a lot of information on it now. I know tribes are anxious to start using it, and then to see where they can start to make changes and adapt it to meet their needs. So I'm excited to see where that goes to. So any questions?
So Mindy, I
Comments?
was
What
wondering,
else?
do you deal with non-federally recognized tribes as well?
Yeah, I can, just not, you know, it would be more of, you know, I mean, I still respect all their, you know, they just might
Absolutely.
not have the same sovereignty, the same jurisdiction.
Okay.
But honoring that in what they do, I don't, I can work with them. I
Okay.
can't say that I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they would also need to be licensed through DCYF because they're
Yeah,
not.
if,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yes. Yeah,
Thank-
it's only federally recognized tribes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mindy, I don't think that we, I know in our region, we haven't had a government to government, type of a training or a webinar or anything like that. Although
Awesome.
that sounds very interesting, it would probably be something I would be interested in joining in, if there is a statewide training for that.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I'll look and then get you that information.
Mindy, coming from a regular licensor background, how would you say your job is different than a licensor job?
I mean, I feel obviously anytime I can't do a compliance agreement, I can't do an inspection report. So, you know, I think that not having that helps. Not having that role, you know, I'm really just here to support them.
Right.
And, you know, it's nice because, you know, tribes at any time, we had a tribe the other day, they were going to write, you know, they want consultation on something that, you know, and like, yeah, that's your right. You go straight to the top if you need to, because sometimes that needs to happen.
It sounds like you could have like a much less punitive relationship with them and just, like you said, very supportive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is nice. Just visit. I think, you know, I don't know. I like to see the good, you know, what people are doing. Tell me about your program, because they're so excited about their programs, you know. So we like to, we had a goal at the beginning of the year to try to get to every tribal program this year. I don't know that it's going to happen. But that's a goal, you know, see what they're doing. What are the strengths? You know, just really building on the strengths. We hear a lot, and I know in our office, the Office of Tribal Relations, we have a lot of conversations, you know, about trauma, and we don't like the negative connotation to almost everything. So we really do try to rephrase it, and okay, what's the strength in this, and how can we build on that strength to, you know, improve on that area. So we try really hard to do that, which is nice too. I think that might be maybe a little bit of a different approach. I feel lucky. Spokane had just amazing licensors when I went there, but I definitely see how the department shifted to, where they were trying to, you know, do more technical assistance, and but I also know people aren't feeling like it's technical assistance anymore either. So it's like we think we're putting these things in place to help, and the providers still don't think it's very helpful. Oh, we added for the TELF funding, I forgot, we added family, friends, and neighbors for this round. And I think it's 500 and 1,000 is, I think that was the max, but I can't remember. So that was something new that we did. We felt like we forgot them in the first round. And oh, that'd be great. Yeah. I'll be in Renton in July, but I'd love to make a special trip and that would be great.
Mindy, how, if a tribe is state licensed and wants to become tribal licensed, is there a certain application or how would they go about looking into that and maybe even going through some of those steps?
Yeah, so that's where they would, and we had a couple tribes, I think, that recently got some land that was state and they got it into trust. So I talked to a couple of them. So what they'll do is they'll go through the CFPO process then. So they'll come to the Office of Tribal Relations. They'll have to have that letter from their tribal chair. They'll already have an SSPS number. So I just need to, like, I would just update their SSPS just so that would show that they're tribally licensed and state certified for payment only. So those are getting their CCDF plan, 477 plan, or whatever standards they use. Yeah, they can reach out. You can have them reach out to me, or if they're ready. Yeah.
Then do you have a link for the new TELF grant that just
I
came out?
do. I do.
And that's also for licensed, that's also available for, if I understand right, non-tribal licensed early learning places that have Native children enrolled.
That's correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep, that's correct. There's a place on the application that asks, you know, like, how many tribal children are you serving? And people, like, we had people, I didn't want to put one. Well, if it's just one, just put one. Like, we really only said you had to be serving at least one. So I know they were worried that that was going to get them excluded, but it did not get them excluded. We would really encourage the programs. We saw a big difference. Stop, if I can stop sharing, maybe. Did I stop sharing? Okay.
Yes.
They offer TELF office hours, which I was going to grab that link for you. We just really encourage everybody to go to that or request a separate meeting, because the TELF staff will help, you know, make sure everybody knows how to answer the questions. And like, we had some applicants that we were really uncomfortable with, so we didn't fund, because the way that things were written and what they were purchasing, it was like they were, you know, purchasing stuff from Lakeshore that we were like, you know, just, we weren't comfortable and we had to say no. It didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel, you know, all those things. So we really want to try to help them. Like, okay, let's look at, you know, because maybe they don't, like, would you know where to go? I wouldn't know where to go if I didn't come from a tribe to access, you know, where do I get kits to make hand drums, or where do I get beading supplies? Like, just, yeah, we have a resource list because we knew people would not know where to get those things if you're not in the tribal community. So we have those things. We just want people to use us, and then we can help them. So yeah, let me get that link. Sorry. Apparently what I copied was too big. It didn't like it. So I might give you, here, let's do this. That's the link for the application.
Tracy, did we answer your question from the chat? So
No, not yet.
okay, so for the TELF grant, does the provider have to serve children from a federally recognized tribe, or is any indigenous tribe?
I don't think we distinguish. So Yeah, I don't think we do. I haven't looked at the new application though since they because they just got it approved like a week ago. So I haven't even looked at it yet, but I don't think we distinguish that. Nope. It just says how many tribal children will be served. So I say count them.
And Mindy, do you have that, do you have a list of places where,
Like a resource
Non-
list.
yeah,
Yeah. Let
right.
me- Yep. I do.
Okay,
See here.
that would be great too.
Yeah. Let me.
And I'll get all these in, I'll get these all out and also put them in our box resource file for our tribal
Awesome.
PLC as well. So, but for Carmela and Patty, I can get those out to you by email easily. That's great, thank you.
I'll give you this just the website because
Mhm.
it's telling me everything's too long. So there's the office hours are on that website, just a little ways down. June 20th from 3:30 to 5 is the first one, and then July 2nd from 10 to 11. And then it also gives Polo Hernandez's information. So you guys, tribes, anybody can reach out to him with any questions. He's really great. He'll get back to you right away. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for
Oh.
inviting me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming.
Yeah. And
I-
please email, call if anytime.
Mhm. Yeah, that'll be great. We have your information and I'll send that out as well to the people who might have.
Thank you.
I had a question, Patty, for you. If you knew anything more about where we're at with the Levitt Way, and Mindy, you're welcome to stay on to listen to it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
What she's,
Please.
if you have any new information or where we're at in the process.
Unfortunately, no, I don't have any new information. What I can tell you right now is that we're at the end of the fiscal year. And they are wrapping up negotiations. So that is going to be included in the program guide and in the operational guidelines document that I just add over there. And well, there's conversations, that is happening right now, so we don't know anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. I just thought, well, if anybody would know, you'd probably know.
No, there are the wrapping up conversations about that. So, yeah. Yes.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna stop recording at this point.